So this is a picture of my mother again when she was a journalist. You see, she's gone from wearing a sari to wearing a miniskirt and surrounded by her admirers. This is her with a sari on the right, and so is this one. And this is my father on the right, and my mother is the second woman. And they used to go to the consulates and things like that when she was a journalist. But here she's working, and he's working in the ministry. That's my aunt sitting next to my father, and that's my brother sitting next to my mother. And the thing is that my parents were cousins, first cousins, and my mother actually bought the house in, the first chance that she got. She was very traumatized because her parents had died, when she was 20, and both of them. And the only very good thing that her mother did was to insist that she, the firstborn, went to university and got a degree. She was quite exceptional. This is a picture of her younger brother, who went to England, and Ismail, and I lived with him and his wife for 3 years. That was very kind of him. But he was also very ambitious. For some years he was working in a travel agent, and then he took up studying accounting, and then became a teacher at school in England, in London. So, they were very, they were very enterprising on my mother's side. And this is her again. This is again my uncle and my aunt, my Ilva, and my brother. And so they lost their parents when they were very young, family. They didn't have anyone. So my mother quickly married her cousin, and made a life for herself. She made that decision, and later on she regretted it because he wasn't as enterprising as she was. She didn't realize that he was the reason why she was successful, because it's a man's world basically, and she had his shadow of protection, which she didn't realize, because she was a beautiful woman. She is she's beautiful, and of course a lot of people were after her, and so she was the firstborn. After 7 years of marriage, her parents couldn't have children. They didn't conceive for 7 years, and they were trying. And then this is me, of course, and so they managed to have this first child, and after which they had other children as well. But I was telling somebody that this was in itself a miracle, because they didn't have children, they couldn't conceive, but they went on to have this first child, and she was very spoiled. Everything she wanted was given to her by her parents. And of course, going to university at that time was not the best thing for girls, but her mother believed firmly that girls should have an education like boys, So she sent all of them to English missionary schools in India, and that's how my mother got an education. and she was lucky enough to be able to use it later on, and she was appreciated for her English language skills, and she was part of the pen club, and she loved to write, and she loved to recite poetry and things like that. I'm now in Paris because of her. I mean, she had such big dreams, and she was so full of enthusiasm. She gave me this ambition to do stuff. So, I'm grateful to her, and that's why I'm making these films, because she was really an inspiration for me. But the thing is that while she had this opportunity, and she had a man in her life who. My father, who believed in her and who allowed her to grow. Usually it doesn't happen like that with women who are, more capable or have more opportunities. And so she was very lucky in that when she was 60, she had a good life, and she had traveled, and she had done a lot of things. So, times changed, and for me, it wasn't the same thing. For my brother, it wasn't the same thing, even though, here they both are in. They were. I'm not saying they were happy, but they had a good middle class life, and. This is my brother, who bought his BMW car just before the revolution, and he had to sell it, and he didn't do too well after the revolution because he wanted to go to America. So, he did go to America, but America was difficult because he went too late. He went after the revolution. And here he had been to Japan to work, and so this is with his Japanese colleagues. But he didn't make the best out of his education and opportunities. This is my Pakistani uncle, who got married to a Pakistani girl, and had a lot of children. And this instead is is another aunt, my Aunt Homa, and next to her Aunt Parveen, and next to her, in the middle is my aunt who married an Iraqi and went to live in Iraq. So, my two aunts, Homa and Parveen, didn't get married, and Parveen needed to be looked after, so Homa spent her whole life looking after Parveen. And that's one kind of womanhood, whereas my mother, lived a full life. She had a husband, and she had children and that sort of thing. But, there's always strings attached, because even though she's beautiful and she had two children, she still went through a terrible time, because her firstborn son didn't make it. He died when he was a bit, 10 or something, and so it was my parents, I think, did a very courageous thing, that they had another child, which was me, because being cousins, they risked having another handicapped child, that was me. And but fortunately, I was always healthy, and they didn't have time for me because both of them worked. Sometimes there was no one in the house because my mother was out to work, my father was out to work, and so my brother was in school. So, I mean, she had a typical carrier woman's life, and they risked having another child, and it was good. It doesn't always work out for everybody, but she was happy to have another child, coming from here, India and Pakistan, they managed to have a life which was signed by, they're having an education, which basically is everything. This is my mother with one of our relatives, and a happy wife and a mother. This is her glamorous side, everyone has their destiny, as they say, and this is my parents who found stability in a new country by immigrating, and that's the story of immigration. You always try your luck. Maybe sometimes it works out, and other times, it's not as good as it would have been. This is, for instance, these are some of my cousins. This woman here on the far left, she came from Iraq. She's an Iraqi cousin, and she went to Canada, and now she has a life in Canada because she married a Canadian. This man also was from Iraq, and he married someone and has children and everything. And my cousin Rudabe, who was a career girl, and she worked, but she never got married, and she looked after her mother, and she lived a very dedicated life. This one is Farangis. She had, even though she had issues, she got married, and she had 2 sons, and nobody expected her to make a good life for herself, but she did. So, life is mysterious. You never know, where the next revolution is going to come from, and where you're going to go, and what you're going to do. And that's the story of my parents as immigrants.